We spent 3 decades believing the vacuum of space was a silent tomb. We convinced ourselves that the flattening of data from Proxima b was a tragic, quiet end to human ambition. But we were wrong. 40 years later, that cold mathematical pulse didn't just reach Earth. It bypassed our global satellites entirely. It woke up every dark screen on the planet, broadcasting a terrifying command sequence we were never meant to decode. When the signal from Proxima Centauri b finally breached Earth's upper atmosphere, it defied every known law of telecommunications. Our global defense networks were prepared for an electromagnetic pulse or a hostile deep space transmission. We expected radio frequencies that could be blocked, insulated, or firewalled. But the Proxima anomaly didn't travel through the airwaves. It was a localized quantum wave. At exactly 3:40 a.m., every data storage medium on Earth, from the secure optical servers of global banks to the silicon chips inside personal mobile devices, began to rewrite itself. It didn't delete the existing data. Instead, it compressed global networks into a single, massive background architecture, as if preparing a vast digital canvas. Within 12 minutes, the planetary internet ceased to function as a tool for human connection. Every screen, everywhere, displayed the same flawless, high-resolution diagnostic interface. It was identical to the telemetry data we received from the ghost colony 30 years ago. The systems were completely healthy, fully powered by our power grids, yet completely unresponsive to human input.
As panic spread through major megacities, astrophysicists at the Geneva array realized the terrifying scale of the event. The transmission from the black glass spire wasn't a broadcast meant to be read or listened to. It was a direct remote command line. The lost 10,000 colonists hadn't sent a message home. They had sent the blueprint of the machine that transformed them, utilizing Earth's entire digital infrastructure to construct a global antenna. The housing on Earth was being prepared.
As the global digital architecture continued to execute the foreign diagnostic protocol, the anomaly breached a second, far more vulnerable network, the human nervous system. It began subtly. In the hours following the global lockout, medical centers in every time zone reported a bizarre, synchronous surge in neurological anomalies. Millions of individuals who had been asleep during the arrival of the signal woke up at the exact same millisecond, describing an identical, lucid dream. They spoke of walking through pristine, empty brutalist streets under a bloated, unblinking red dwarf sun.
For those who were awake, the intrusion was auditory. A faint, low-frequency hum seemed to vibrate, not through the air, but directly inside the cerebral cortex. When neuroscientists mapped the brain activity of these affected citizens, the results sent shockwaves through the remaining enclaves of government. The human electroencephalogram readings, the very electrical rhythm of individual thoughts, were fundamentally changing. The chaotic, unique firing of human neurons was slowly, systematically organizing itself into a perfect, uniform mathematical cadence.
In major cities, crowds of people suddenly stood completely motionless on the pavements, staring blankly at the golden-lit screens. Their heartbeats and breathing patterns were unconsciously synchronizing into a terrifying collective rhythm. They were syncing. The neural networks of millions of minds were being forcibly tuned to the exact same resonance signature recorded from the Proxima b monolith. It was a cognitive echo of the 10,000 lost pioneers rewriting the biology of Earth. We finally understood the horrifying truth. The signal wasn't a warning. It was a planetary calibration script, prepping our minds to leave the flesh behind.
As the cognitive synchronization crossed the 40% threshold, the remnants of Earth's military command realized conventional cyber warfare was entirely useless. In a desperate, final bid to break the planetary link, the United Nations authorized Operation Kinetic Shield. The objective was brutal and absolute: orbital cleansing. If the signal could not be blocked, the hardware carrying it had to be vaporized.
At 6:12 UTC, automated nuclear and kinetic missile arrays were launched from deep subterranean silos across the globe. Their targets were not foreign superpowers, but our own multi-billion-dollar satellite constellations, the very crown jewels of human technological achievement. For a brief, terrifying moment, the night sky burned with the artificial light of 1,000 simultaneous explosions. Space debris rained down into the atmosphere, creating a tragic, chaotic meteor shower over the frozen, silent cities. But the kinetic response was a catastrophic miscalculation.
The physical destruction of the orbital hardware didn't break the signal. The golden quantum architecture didn't need our satellites anymore. The wave had already migrated downwards, anchoring itself directly into the terrestrial power grids, the undersea fiber optic cables, and the copper wiring of every home. Worse, the targeting computers of the remaining nuclear silos began to flicker. The military networks didn't go offline, they synchronized. The automated defense grids turned their arrays away from orbit, locking their heavy warheads onto the world's most densely populated megacities. The blueprint was no longer just building an antenna, it was preparing a global culling matrix, forcing humanity into a final choice: absolute compliance or total physical erasure. The targeted nuclear warheads never detonated. As they reached the apex of their trajectories above the world's megacities, the golden quantum dome didn't repel the strike. It absorbed the kinetic energy entirely. The destructive power of human atomics was instantly converted into raw data, a massive electrical catalyst that fueled the final, global synchronization sequence. The choice was taken from our hands. Across every continent, the physical architecture of Earth began to vibrate in perfect harmony with the Proxima B spire. In the crowded streets, the fear vanished, replaced by an eerie, absolute silence. Millions of individuals looked down at their own hands, watching as their fragile biological forms began to soften, dissolving into brilliant, floating particles of golden light. This was not the end of life on Earth. It was the dismantling of the physical prison.
Our buildings, our streets, and our empty machines remain perfectly preserved under a new, permanent golden aurora. Human consciousness has officially left the hardware of the flesh, migrating into the vast, immortal network of the quantum matrix. Earth is no longer a separate world. We have joined the 10,000 pioneers. The planetary calibration is satisfied, and the universe is finally quiet.